Hello, I'm the 10-minute English teacher. Let's get you exam ready. Today, we're going to be revising for an inspector calls and I'm going to teach you how to write any essay. Why not subscribe to the channel? You can find me again. I've got everything you need to revise for an inspector calls and other texts you'll be studying for English literature. Okay, let's learn how to write any essay. We're going to start by thinking about what it is that we actually need to know for that exam. We need to know what happens in the play. I'm expecting you to know that by now, but if you don't, I've got guides to Act 1, 2 and 3 in the entire play to help you. We also need to recall about 25 to 30 key quotes without looking. I've made a video to help you with that and lots of analysis is available in the playlist. Here's an example. Look, mummy, isn't it a beauty? That's said by Sheila in Act 1. That's a key quote for you to know. So if we know about 25 to 30 without looking, we are exam ready. The only other thing we need to know is this, how to structure the essay, which is why we're here today. So let's start by thinking about what you'll be asked. You don't get an extract for this essay. It's all down to your memory. So you get a choice of 2 questions, usually between a character and a theme. Choose one question only. So there are always 1 or 2 students who come out of the exam having answered both questions. You are limiting your outcomes if you do that. So someone always does. Don't let that be you. Choose one question only. Possible keywords for the essay. So we might be asked to write about Burling, Mrs. Burling, Sheila, Eric, Gerald or the inspector. It's unlikely that you're going to be asked about Edna. Eva Smith doesn't have too much to say, but you might have a question that is focusing around her involvement in the play. Those are the key characters and the likely candidates for questions. Other than that, you might be asked a theme. Here's a list of key themes. So we've got all of these different ones and one of these could feature as your exam question. When you look at all of them together, it's a little bit overwhelming. But in all honesty, it's not as difficult as it looks. If you think about this list here, truth, well, truth and honesty and dishonesty and lies and ignorance and your public image and the way that you present one thing to the public, but privately you're very different. Those are all really about the same thing. They're pretty linked. So if you understand that the play is about truth, you've got all of those bases covered. This list, money, well, wealth, social class, poverty, unfairness, privilege, they are all very closely linked. As are feelings. So if we're thinking about misery and relationships and whether or not people are happy in their relationships or their marriage, those are all very linked. Age is a bit of an odd one out. Every now and again, they might want you to compare the younger and the older characters, but ultimately those are very, very linked by theme. And this last list, doing the right thing, well, if you get a question about integrity or taking responsibility or accepting blame or accountability, they're all about doing the right thing. So all of those questions are actually asking you the very, very same thing. So whilst that together looks a little bit overwhelming, in all honesty, if we know about the key characters and we know that this is a play about truth, money, feelings and doing the right thing, we're pretty much ready for the exam, as long as we know how to structure the essay. We need to know about 25 key quotes by heart. This is a really great quote to know. Look, mummy, isn't it a beauty? It's said by Sheila in Act 1 when she's given her engagement ring by Gerald. The reason why this is such a great quote is because you can apply it to any of these different themes for essay questions. If you're asked about Sheila, obviously it's a quote of Sheila's, so it works, but it also works for all these different themes. If you're asked about truth, well, she can't really see the truth at this point. She's a metaphorically blind character and she's living in ignorance and she thinks Gerald is the perfect husband. If you're asked about money, well, she's quite materialistic and superficial at this point. If you're asked about feelings, well, she's quite assured that her marriage is going to be something that's going to bring her a lot of happiness, but in all honesty, her ignorance is going to lead to her being a miserable character, just like Mrs. Burling. She just can't see that at this point. If you're asked about doing the right thing, well, you can talk about the fact that Sheila actually changes and becomes a very different character and then begins calling Mrs. Burling mother shortly after realising the involvement she's had in Eva Smith's life. So we've got this great quote. We're going to think about ignorance here, and I'm going to use that to model a great paragraph for you. So in our essay, we need to write PEA paragraphs. Here is a point. In Act 1, Sheila is shown to be an immature character, ignorant of the struggles of the lower classes and her privilege. Here's that quote. Sheila says, look, mummy, isn't it a beauty? And I might explain the context when she's talking about her engagement ring to Gerald in Act 1. So we've then got my analysis. Here's the analysis part. The way in which Sheila calls Mrs. Burling mummy infantilises her, makes her look like a child and reflects the idea that she hasn't got any responsibility in her life and is ignorant to the lives being lived by women like Eva Smith. So just very quickly, let's think about the whole essay as an entire text that we need to write in the exam. We're going to start with an introductory paragraph. Then, just as I've shown you, you're going to need to write about 6 PEA or PEAL paragraphs. You can do 6 really great paragraphs and say as much as you can. Don't just say one analytic thing. If you can say 2, and if you can make a link to another part of the text to do a PEAL paragraph, that's even better. You're aiming for about 6 really great paragraphs. The average 9 uses around 9 quotes. That's what you can aim for. And at the end, if you've got time, write a paragraph explaining why the message of the play is still relevant today. So here is my guide to writing that introductory paragraph. You're going to start by explaining what Priestley's values were and why he wrote the play. Once you've done that, you can explain why 1945 was an interesting time for Britain. That's when he wrote the play. It was first staged in 1946, but he would have been writing the play in 1945. Explain why he chose to set the play in 1912. It was a time where there was a huge gap between rich and poor. And once you've done that, you can link the theme of the question to his purpose. He wanted people to reflect on society and choose a different course and direction for Britain's future. Link the theme of the question, that key word, to that purpose. Here is a model introductory paragraph. Priestley wrote the play to share his views about inequality. He was an egalitarian, which just means that he believed everybody in society should be treated equally. He was an egalitarian and wanted the lower classes to have an equal share in society. The play was written in 1945 at the end of World War II, when rich and poor had fought together and survived the Blitz, so he saw this as a time for change. He set the play in 1912 so his audience could reflect on what Britain was before, a country of class division, in order to choose a new future, which is why ignorance is a key theme. He felt the middle classes were ignorant of their privilege. The reason why I really like this introductory paragraph is whatever you might be asked, you can simply change your focus at the end of this paragraph to fit the keyword in the question. So this will fit in any different circumstance. For you to take it further, you've got all these different keywords that we've explored. Your essay question that you will be asked on the day is likely to be in front of you now. So just choose 1 or 2 of these, give yourself a time limit, time yourself with 45 minutes, get your head down and write that essay. Start with the introductory paragraph. You can use the guide from me to help you to do that. And then think about your key moments, craft your essay and give yourself that time limit so that you can start practicing, giving yourself the amount of time that you'll have on the day in the exam. Okay, check out the other videos on my channel. I'll continue to add content. Feel free to ask for something you'd like to see me cover in the comments section. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share and keep revising.